Hey guys, I think I'll title this video, Get a Grip, because today we're going to answer the question,
why did Walther make red grips during the war?
Okay, here's your typical Walther PP. Production started in 1929, and at Zellamelis it went all the way to 1945. I'd say about 98% of the Walthers that you see during the war, pre-war, but also even post-war have a black grip, sometimes a black finger extension, have a black grip that looks a lot like that. I'm going to take the black grip and contrast it with these red grips. Now, even though you see quite an assortment here, it's actually just to make a point that they made them for all kinds of guns, but all of these are made in late 43, early 44. So right in the transition from 43 to 44, they made these red grips. It's better to see the contrast. There's the black, hollow back. These are red, they're also hollow back. Why did they bother to change the color in the middle of the war? Now remember, they couldn't keep up with production. The war is not going as well, certainly not in the Eastern Front, and soon on the Western Front. The war's not going well. The police needed more. Party members were asking for more guns, and the military was asking for more guns. But yet they changed the color right in the middle of the war, and for a very short period of time, and then they went back to black. Now there's a couple of theories, and that's what I want to talk about. The first theory was proposed by a gentleman in Germany who talked to a vet, a German citizen who served during the war, and he said that the SA, as a member of the SA, they had shooting competition and sporting events, and often the winner of the sporting event or the shooting competition would get a presentation gun. And in 1943, they had a competition, and the guy who ordered the guns asked for it to have the red grip. And so it was a presentation piece, maybe inscribed. I have not seen this gun, I've only heard the story. And he said it was given to an SA, the winners, first place, second place, third place. They requested red, and that's how the red grip came about. That's hard for me to imagine, because as we look at these variations, these are not shooter prizes or anything that would indicate they went to the SA. In fact, I've never seen a red grip designated to the SA. But here's a commercial gun, red grip with a red hue. I think in the last time I talked about the pinkish hue. Here's one in the similar serial range. They're all in a similar serial range. These are actually in order. So we start with 311. This is one of the earliest ones, still 1943. And this one is RFV. There's actually was one on Gunbroker this weekend that was marked RJ. So Reichs Finance Bureau had a red grip. Reichs Justice, RJ, had a red grip. I actually was bidding on that, and believe it or not, watching football at the same time, fell asleep, woke up, and the auction was over. So one of you guys out there got it. You jumped in on my auction and stole it out from under me. So we see the Reichs Justice, the Reichs Finance Bureau. This is a commercial gun. Again, same serial range. Here is one. Let's see if this one is Waffen-proofed. So it also went to the military. I've seen Eagle F with a red grip. In a minute, I'm going to show you an SS gun. This one is commercial, red grip, same serial range. This one is 327,000. Here's a red grip, and the serial range is 331. And here we go. This one is in the SS range, and it has a numbered mag very close, 331110. 331483. So this is probably an SS gun. I have another one here. Here it is. This has a matching mag. This one is 331, just like this one, 331 SS, 331, an SS gun with a matching mag, 331767, 331767. So there's an SS, and this is the latest one I have. Instead of 331, here's 332, and this one is commercial. That leads us to a second theory. So the first theory, was it specially made for the SA? Well, as we can see, it lasted for a period of time, and it went to all kinds of contracts. But then actually one of our viewers proposed another theory. I actually showed a gun that had red grips, and a couple people wrote in and say, well, they ran out of the black pigment, and so they went to red. Now, why would they go to red? Well, first of all, Walther, this is actually a Mauser, but Walther was making the P38 at the same period of time that this was being made. And so they already had this color in stock, so to speak. And so perhaps they were running low on the black pigment, and so they went with the red pigment. Also, one other fact, the factoid, as I like to call them, look at the red grip compared. This is a Krieghoff grip, actually not made by Walther, but in the Krieghoff factory. Krieghoff was highly sought after. This is from 1936, 1937, well before they made this. But certainly they had the idea of making a red grip. These are very similar. I'll show you another one because each of the shades are just a little bit off. You can see this has a little more brown in it. This one has a little more red in it. So we know that they had red grips from Krieghoff, so that may have given them the idea. They easily could have run out of the black pigmentation, and therefore they used some of the pigment from the P38 production. That also makes sense. So if I put it in sequential order, and I've done this before, so this is a quick overview. The first variation was the X grip, and they actually didn't work very well. I was just going over an early gun from 1929, and it didn't work in double action, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. So when I took off the X grip and put on another early grip, it actually worked just fine with this one and this one, but wouldn't work well with the X grip. So there are problems with the X grip, but this is 1929, the first variation of PP grip. Then we went to a weighted grip, and the wartime was a hollow grip. So the weighted grip just has a strip of metal inside to reinforce it, but that was prone to the metal heat and cold to expand and contract and would cause it to crack. And so you'd get a crack right along that edge. You also see it here. Same thing, weighted grip. See, these two are weighted. This was made around the same time as this, so we know this was from the pre-war era. And I put that up here because this is a pause. This was your typical production. So X grip, weighted grip, hollow grip. The red grip, by the way, hollow, wartime. So they made these two wartime. But also during that time, they made special presentations. These grips, these brown modeled grip, is very much like the PPK. So they're making these grip for the PPK. They made for chrome and nickeled and some presentation pieces. That's the only time you see these grips used is for special presentation guns. And so it's not really a part of normal production. It was just, again, we have some of this pigment in the shop, so let's go ahead and use it. Special presentation, these brown grips, very rare, very expensive, and then also ivory grips on presentation guns. Now, I've never seen ivory grips in a PPK. They did, however, at the end of the war, use a ivory color grip, and that's on engraved and special presentation guns. Very, very rare. I've only seen a few, but these ivory grips were for a presentation PP, and those are even more rare. Again, black grips, about 98%, then very few red grips. And then after the red grips, they were actually running out of the resins and the material to make these plastic grips. So for a period of time at the end of the war, 44 and into 45, they made a wooden grip. I think it's a beechwood. You see the Walther banner. Here's a PP, a late war PP with the wooden grip. They often will get covered with oil and become dark, but when they're new like this, in really good shape, it really stands out. It's a beautiful grip. And so moving along, we'll see in the late war period, 44, 45, you'll see some wooden grips. And then, and I've mentioned before, you'll see weighted grips that are cracked. And the theory behind that is pretty obvious. When they had cracked weighted grips, they threw them in a bin as being defective. Toward the end of the war, they're running out of materials, and so they go, hey, we got that whole crate full of cracked grips. And so a lot of the 1945 guns that we sell will either be wooden or have these cracked weighted grips. Now, only because we're talking about getting a grip, I might as well just wrap it up with the variations of PPK grips. And you might learn something new here because you think, okay, the brown grip was first. It was. However, what you probably need to know is the earliest ones, for whatever reason, why the heck did they change the direction of the screw? I can't tell you that. Just like the bottom line is, I can't tell you why they went to a red grip. Maybe the same reason they went to a gray grip. We're getting there. Here is the earliest variation of brown grip, and the screw goes in. So the screw head goes in from the left and goes to the right. The very earliest ones have no metal insert. Not sure how well you can see it, but if you shine the light in there, you see the metal insert. And that metal insert actually wraps around, and it's to help it keep its shape because it was prone to cracking. The earliest ones, the first couple thousand, had no metal insert. They realized they needed the metal insert. So early on in production, with the first year or two, they used these early grips, and it was left to right. In fact, if you have an RZM, 1934, 1935, and into 1936, you will see these grips where it goes left to right. And then for some reason, I can't think of any engineering or quality control reason that they would change the direction, but then about 1936, you see them going right to left. And from then on, all of the brownish color, all the black, all the gray, they're all going to be right to left. Now, people get hung up on when was the transition and should I change out my grip? I usually leave it alone unless it's really wrong, such as an early gun with a black grip. Then I'd say get the right color grip. Or a very late war gun with a brown grip, then I'd say change it. So we went to no insert, left to right, right to left, and then it goes to a chocolate brown color. Notice the coloration is a lot darker. And then for some reason, they go to gray. And that, just like the red, why did they go to red in 1943? Guess what? This change happened in late 1943 into early 1944. So right around the same time they experimented with red, they also went to gray. So you can see that these, most people call it marbled. I also call it like a brown-black swirl. There's no two that are the same, so it's almost like a fingerprint. Then they went to this darker color, but there's different shades of brown. And then this shades of gray. This looks almost brown, brownish gray, but this is gray. So this grip would be very expensive because people just love these really rare gray grip, only for a short period of time, just like red. And then they went to all black. This was never part of normal production. That was only used in presentation guns. And I have a couple presentation PPKs that have the white grip. But this was the end of production in 1945. So there's the different variations that you might see on your pre-war and wartime PPK. One last factoid, because whenever I do a presentation like this, there's always a know-it-all out there that tells me that I'm breaking the law and I can go to jail. I do that whenever I show a machine gun, or I put a stock on the end of a Luger, put one of the shoulder stocks on a C96 or a Luger, and I get mail saying, they better be careful, they're going to come and arrest me. The same happens whenever I show an ivory grip. People will frequently tell me that's against the law, you can't buy or sell, this has to be destroyed. Not true. If you go to a government resource, and I read through this article, it says any ivory that came into the United States before 1989 can be bought and sold and traded, but anything after that is illegal. So obviously this is actually 90-degree safety. It's from about 1932. 33, and so therefore definitely this ivory came into the United States before the cutoff, again 1989. After that you cannot buy or sell ivory. Okay, time to vote. You know, election day's coming up and we got to get out and vote. I need you to vote. What do you like best? How about this red grip with the pinkish hue? Study that for a minute. Just love that gun. That's a red grip with the pinkish hue. Vercramp PP with a mottled brown grip, very, very rare. Or the silver engraved PP with the highly illegal ivory grip. Hey, I hope you guys learned something today. I had fun with this. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, Show of Shows coming up. We're having our party Friday night. You might want to check it out.